Hi, I'm Cecil McNeil, a writer and filmmaker. Welcome back to my vlog. So just like I mentioned last week, I've been discussing misconceptions that are in the Bible. So last week was alcohol, and today is going to be even a bit more controversial. And I struggled with myself all week whether I should even discuss this. But the reason I'm choosing to, despite how controversial it is because a lot of young people, and I'm sure even older people, struggle with this, and a lot of Christians are plagued with this. And so I know it's general Christian culture and like Nigerian culture to repress a lot of certain topics, but sometimes it's important and we should talk about it. So today's biblical misconception number 2 is, drumroll, masturbation, or the big M as people call it. So yes, is masturbation mentioned in the Bible? Is it mentioned as a sin? No. Is it mentioned at all in the Bible? No. So masturbation is neither a sin nor it's not a sin, because the Bible doesn't talk about it at all. And immediately you might feel the need to like go, whoa, what about the sin of Onan? And I will gently remind you that, so okay, for those of you that don't know, Onan in the Bible got killed by God because, okay, let me start from the beginning. Onan's older brother, Onan was Judah's son. Oh my God, Judah, the brother of Joseph. Anyway, his older brother was a wicked person and he was killed by God. And then in that culture, in that era, when an older brother dies and he leaves his wife behind without any children, it's the job of the younger brother to make the wife pregnant, because the first child she bears, the first son she bears for the new brother will be the heir of the older brother. So since Onan's older brother was killed, it was his job to make his sister-in-law pregnant so that that child can bear his brother's name. But he didn't want to do that because his father, Judah, was very rich. And you know, in those days, the firstborn son always got all the inheritance. I mean, it's still like that in some places, and it's wrong. You should divide your inheritance to all your children. But anyway, so because of this, Onan did not want, he didn't want his sister-in-law to get pregnant so that he could keep the wealth. And so whenever he had sex with her, instead of ejaculating into her or pouring into her, he will pour his seed on the floor. And God got angry with him and struck him dead. So people use this as masturbation to say, well, this is why God doesn't want you to masturbate. But if you actually look at it, he wasn't masturbation. He wasn't masturbating, rather. The definition of masturbation is you alone, self-pleasure. He was actually having sex with somebody, and instead of pouring into her, he poured it on the floor. And he did that because he wanted his brother's share of the inheritance, and that's why God struck him, not for the very act of pouring the seed away. And so because of that, a lot of Christians are thrown on the issue. Some will say, okay, yeah, even if that's right, what about lust? True. The Bible talks about lust all the time. So people associate that with masturbation. They're like, well, you need to be watching something like porn, or you need to, be thinking about somebody to get off. So, well, is porn wrong? Yeah, I mean, technically yes, because you're watching people have sex, and the Bible definitely, it says even if you look at a woman lustfully without even sleeping with her, you've already committed the sin of adultery. And this applies to women too. If you look at a man lustfully without even sleeping with him, you've already committed the sin of adultery. And then they'll say, okay, yeah, well, even if it's a fictional person, the fact that you're imagining yourself with somebody else, that's what makes it a sin. But then what about when you don't imagine anybody else? Because some people are just, they have a lot of pent-up energy, and they're just, they have all these emotions in them, and it just needs to be released, and they're not really thinking about anybody. It's just release. So in that case, is it a sin? I would say it's up to your discretion. I remember years ago, I read an article written by this pastor, and he was, speaking to young men, especially. Like, the article applies to everybody. And by the way, people always feel like this topic is more for men than women. It's for everybody. We're all sexual beings the way the Lord created us. So anyway, he spoke to young men because men especially have to, how do I put this? They have to release because the sperm gets like even if you suppress it and you refuse to somehow release it, you're gonna have a wet dream, or it's gonna come out anyway. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just biology. We're adults, and that's just how our bodies are built. And so he advised that since it's a bodily function that has to come out, that you should treat it like any other bodily function, like pee, using the restroom or whatever. Like, he said, if you're not thinking of any lustful thoughts, or you're not watching any, pornography type content, and you're just releasing, he didn't see anything wrong with that. But of course, some people would rather not, and will rather like repress themselves. And if that's what you want to do, then it's up to you. Repression in the long run doesn't actually help anybody, because eventually it's bound to happen. And this pastor had said, if this is the way of you keeping yourself from sin, especially if you're single and you're trying to, wait until you find the right person, instead of getting so horny and so pent up that you just lose it at any moment with anybody, like, well, if this helps you stay on track, then he advised that you should do it. So for people who feel like, no, this is just a wrong message to teach people, don't masturbate at all, repress it. And they use they give examples like the Virgin Mary, for instance. They're like, well, she was a virgin and that's why the Lord used her, and they teach that to young girls especially. Well, if you do research, like actual theological research, guess how old Mary was? She was 16. 16, okay? Like, I would wager most 16-year-olds are actually virgins. Like, in this era, we encourage kids to stay in school longer and, finish your high school, then your university, then your master's. And so people aren't getting married as quick as they used to be. And these are adult emotions and feelings that aren't going to go away. Like, no matter how you pray them away or you suppress them, the Bible says, love shouldn't be awakened before it's ready. And sometimes age awakens that love in you, and it's going to happen. And we could also think of someone like Paul, who, even though it was never revealed what he was praying for, but he said, 3 times I begged of the Lord to take away this plague from me. 3 times I begged of him. And the Lord said, my grace is sufficient for you. So however you want to use that, use it. But in conclusion, my point is, if you're gonna masturbate, treat it like a bodily function and don't think lustful thoughts. I think you should be okay. If that doesn't sound right to you, then my dear, then don't masturbate and live with your repression. And if it works for you, it works. But what I don't want people to say is, oh, it's a sin according to the Bible. Masturbation is not written in the Bible. It doesn't mention it anywhere. It's not a sin. Lust is a sin. So as long as you're not lusting, you're good to go. Okay? Don't attack me. I'm just a messenger. All right. So I hope this vlog was helpful, especially to young people, because growing up in our faith, we're often taught that we're wrong and we're sinful if we have such thoughts. And a lot of young people just feel like they're dirty and shameful, and they carry all this guilt in them for even having such feelings. I'm letting you know, these feelings are perfectly natural. Your body was built, those hormones were every body part, all your urges were all created by God. He created you because without those urges, the human race would not procreate. We would have died out by now. So yes, as much as a godly person, such urges should be expressed in marriage. If you honestly feel you can't wait that long, this is a way to, I don't know how I put it, not a loophole, but this is a way to go to. So once more, Bible doesn't condemn it. The Bible doesn't say it's okay either. It's your discretion to do what feels right to you. Okay? So thanks for being with me. I'll see you in my next vlog. Bye.